Am I wrong for telling my boyfriend that he should have covered up his tattoos if he wanted any respect from my family? Oh, I'm already calling you the asshole here because that already just sounds really degrading and mean, and so I don't like that. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. We're polar opposites but managed to work through our differences in the past. Okay. For some context, he's almost 90% tattooed up to his neck, and comes from a difficult background, to put it mildly. Today, he's employed and doing well for himself, but his upbringing was quite rough. I wouldn't describe myself as posh at all, but I come from a family where image, looks, and your accomplishments matter. However, I'd say I'm a little more casual than them. A few months ago, I finally got the courage to introduce him to my family. This was a huge deal to me, and I told him that first impressions would make or break everything. I told him that he will cover his tattoos, no ifs, ands, or buts, because my parents are super old-fashioned. I bought him an outfit for the night to ensure he looked presentable and classy. We had a practice run, and I told him what he should do and shouldn't say, how to talk, how to address any of my dad's concerns, etc. Oh my god, what is this? At no point did he ever show any enthusiasm, so that was a bad sign. You're basically saying, hey, you're not good enough for my parents, and so therefore they're gonna say you're not good enough for my daughter. Fast forward to dinner. It was an absolute disaster. Yes, my parents and sister were a little critical, but they're like that with any guy I date. My boyfriend was so pissed that he purposely unbuttoned the top of his shirt so you could see his tatted neck. Of course, that offended my parents, and a huge argument ensued. Not only were they telling him that he's not good enough for me, what did I say? They were telling me how disappointed they are. It was a nightmare. To make it worse, my boyfriend told them that I like his tattoos, which I do, but he was just adding fuel to the fire, and it didn't matter what they think. They told him to leave. See, this is where you fucked up. You should have had this conversation with your family before you brought your husband, your boyfriend into this and make him feel like shit. You should have told him this is how he is. He has tattoos. If you want to meet him, great. If you don't, I'm not coming. Like, take it as that. Why would you? It goes without saying that my parents have zero respect for him now. It was already difficult to convince them that he's much sweeter than he may appear. My mom has been hysterical and asking why I'm having intimate relations with someone who looks like they belong in prison. He's not a criminal. Well, you made him sound like one. I have been guilt-tripped and made to feel like complete shit, all because he chose to wreak havoc. He didn't choose to wreak havoc. Why are you saying that? Like, you fucked up. Oh my god, I feel so bad for him. A couple of days ago, we were arguing, and I told him that he should have hid his tattoos if he wanted any respect from people like my family. He was hurt and said that it's fucked up that I want him to change to gain respect from them. He even claimed that I'm obviously embarrassed to be associated with him and not even worthy of respect in his eyes. None of that is true, just saying. After the argument, we haven't talked much. So, am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend that he should have covered his tattoos if he wanted to establish a level of respect my parents could work from? It's not that they bother me. I think he's crazy attractive, tattoos or not, but he knew that my parents would freak out. I want to know how old you are because you sound like you're fucking 15. What is this? He's not a dog. You don't coach him on what to say and what to do and how to dress, how to act. Like, this is who you
Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet whenever I get mad at him? Anytime I get mad at him, I just find little ways to sabotage him. Disclaimer, is not my story time. I sent him on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. From the beginning of the relationship, I had to chase him. He was dating a few girls when I first met him, but I managed to bag him. The problem is that he knows that I was the one that was chasing him. He never had to court me or anything, so he knows he can get away with a lot. For example, we live together and he never cleans the apartment. He automatically assumes that I will do his laundry, his cooking, and cleaning. I have to make the bed every single morning when we both get up. I have to make him his breakfast and literally be his mother the entire day. Worst of all, we've both been working from home because of COVID. So this means I have to cater to him all day long, even when I'm in my meetings. And because I don't want to cause any fights or confront him about it, I started to retaliate in my own way. Number 1, I started cleaning the toilet with his toothbrush. Sounds terrible, I know. I need some way to release this anger though. It gets worse. Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? Because he uses me as his personal maid, I had to find a way to retaliate. Using his toothbrush on the toilet was the clear answer, but it didn't stop there. Anytime he would leave his dishes unclean or ask me to do his laundry, I started to do other things. Recently, I've been putting dairy in his food, which I know he can't have because it gives him the runs. I switched out his special shampoo for regular old Dollar Tree shampoo. Anytime his packages would arrive, I would just hide them somewhere in the apartment, and whenever he would go crazy waiting for it, I would finally say, oh, this package? Oh, that's been here for like 4 days already. The look on his face was so worth it. A few nights ago, after I worked all day and cleaned and made him his food, he asked me for a massage. By the way, it was 7 p.m. and I was finally ready to relax myself. So I told him that I didn't feel like it because I was tired. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch and started watching a movie. He decided to throw a tantrum. He stood in front of the TV and asked me for a massage again. I mean, he's a grown man. Part 3 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? After he stood in front of the TV blocking my view, he asked me for a massage a second time. And once again, I said no, I'm tired. Then he starts complaining about the lunch I made him. He said the pasta was overcooked and the sauce tasted weird, which it probably did because I did put dairy in it. Instead of holding my ground, I told him fine. And I proceeded to give him a 30-minute massage when I was so tired myself. I'm sure you're wondering if I love him. The answer is yes. I love him very much, which is why I don't want to break up with him, but I'm really close to having had enough. He never offers to help me. He never offers me a massage. He expects me to clean and do everything for him. When I've asked him for help, he doesn't really want to. So I don't think he's going to change that part of himself. But I do have fun with him and he's an amazing guy. I don't know what to do. Should I leave him? Should I stay? Or do you guys have any ideas on what sabotages I could do next? Help a girl out. Bye.
Story time about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So a little background information. I was 13 and in 8th grade, and my sister was a senior in high school and she was 17. And my sister always had a new boyfriend. Like after 3 months of dating somebody, they would break up and then she would be with a new guy a month later. And this started whenever she was a sophomore. So yeah, she had a lot of boyfriends. Anyway, so she had started dating this boy, and we're gonna call him Ben. Well, lucky for Ben, whenever they started dating was right around the time when we were supposed to go on our vacation that we take every year. So my mom and dad said that he could come with us. So my sister, who we're gonna call Emily, she decided to bring Ben, and I decided to bring one of my friends, Carly. We drove down, everything was good for the first 2 days, and usually what would happen on this vacation is my dad would end up staying at the hotel and doing work while we were all out doing stuff. So my mom, Ben, and Emily were all out drinking at the bar 24/7. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So like I said, Emily, Ben, and my mom were out drinking 24/7 at the bar. And since this was a vacation that we took every year, my sister already knew a bunch of people down there. The one night my mom started feeling really sick at the bar, so Ben offered to take her back to the hotel. And at this time, my friend, my dad, and I were all down at the buffet in the hotel. So Ben took my mom upstairs to our hotel room, and my dad was like, "Oh, do you guys want to walk down to the fair?" We said yes, so he told us to go upstairs and get his wallet. So my friend and I go up in the elevator to our room, and I want to say this was about 20 or 30 minutes after Ben and my mom had went upstairs. So we get into the room, we hear the shower running, which was weird because we didn't think anybody was there. So instead of me calling my dad because it might have been a murderer, I go, and the door is slightly creaked open, so I look through the door, and obviously I could hear you know what, but hers and his clothes were on the floor. Like for part 3. Part 3 about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So like I said, obviously we could hear stuff. We saw their clothes on the floor, so I took a video and I took a picture. But obviously you couldn't see anything. And I didn't want to tell my dad first. So my best friend and I, we went downstairs, we went to the carnival. And when my sister got back, she ended up getting back with Ben because obviously after he was done, he went back to my sister. I know this is confusing, but try to keep up. So I asked my sister if she can pretty please take me and my friend down to the pool to go swimming. So my sister came down with us, and then I was like, I have to tell you something. So then I ended up showing her the photos and the videos, and at this point she's like, what the fuck? So surprisingly, without choking this man to death, she goes upstairs, she goes to sleep, and then the next morning she goes and has a talk with my mom. So my mom, my sister, my friend, and I, we all sat down at the buffet in the morning and had breakfast. And my dad and Ben weren't there. Well, long story short, my mom ended up saying, it's not fair that you bring all these young guys around me, da-da-da-da-da. Are you really gonna break up our family because of this? And till this day, my dad still does not know about it.
Storytime about how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. We've been together for 5 years, and I never knew that he had a child. His son is now 7 years old. A little backstory. When my boyfriend and I started dating, everything was great. He was the perfect boyfriend. He would drop anything to help me. He paid for everything, was super considerate, fun, and loving. But everything started to change last year when we moved in together. He told me that his job was starting to give him night shifts. Essentially, we never saw each other during the day or spent any time together. He also started telling me that he was too tired to go out on dates. I'm a paralegal, and my office is really close to our apartment. So during my lunch break, I would go home to eat. One time that I came home, I caught him talking on the phone in the bathroom. I could only hear that he was whispering, and it sent chills up my spine. When he came out of the bathroom, he was shocked to see me. I asked him who he was talking to, and he acted dumb. He said he was just ordering a pizza. He was actually supposed to be sleeping because he worked the night shift. I knew something was wrong. I decided to follow him that night to work, and guess what? He didn't go to work. He went to another woman's house. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. I followed him that night to what I thought was his job, but instead he drove 10 minutes away from our apartment to another woman's house. I parked a few cars away so I could see what he was doing. That's when a little boy and a woman come running out of the house. The woman kisses him on the mouth and he carries the little boy and hugs him. Believe it or not, I instantly got sick. I got out through the passenger door and vomited. I was horrified. My first thought was that he was married and I was the other woman. They walked into the house and I stayed waiting for him the entire night. He left that house at 6 in the morning the next day. But before he could get into his car, I confronted him. He was obviously shocked to see me there. He confessed that was his son, that he wasn't married to the woman. They were only together. So I was right. I was the other woman. He explained that he wasn't in love with the other woman and that he didn't have the heart to tell her he was in love with someone else. He got on his knees and apologized. Part 3 is up. Part 3 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. He got on his knees and begged me for forgiveness, but I had already made my mind up. I told him he needed to move out by the end of the day. I got in my car and slept for about 18 hours. When I woke up, all of his stuff was still there. He was in the kitchen making me breakfast. I gave him a chance and I let him talk. He explained that he and the girl had a very toxic relationship and that I was the first woman he'd ever met that he truly loved. But I just couldn't get over the fact that he was lying to me every single day for 5 years. Instead of going to work, he was going to her house. I told him that I saw him kissing her and he said that that's just how they greet each other. He swears that they don't have anything going on between them. It's been about a week and he's still living with me. I basically gave him a second chance, but my instinct is telling me something's wrong. I met his son a few nights ago and we got along really well. He's a really cute boy and he loves his dad a lot, and I could see how much my boyfriend loves him too. I don't want to break my own heart, but I feel like I can't trust him anymore. He swears he'll never lie to me again. I have this constant stomach ache now, but I still love him. Should I stay with him or not? Story time about how my husband is bullying me into getting plastic surgery. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My husband and I have been married for 2 years. I'm in my early 20s and we just had a baby. We're really well off, thankfully, and we have a wonderful life. All things considered, I do have a wonderful husband. He loves me, always wants to be with me, loves our daughter, and is a wonderful dad to her. He's super caring and loves my family as well. The only problem is that he's addicted to Instagram, and he follows a lot of girls that, look fake. One day he started showing me pictures of this one girl. I will not say who she is, but just know that she's a very big influencer who claims to be all natural and totally is not. He asked me if I wanted to get some work done after I had the baby. I told him no because that wasn't even a priority of mine. I was more worried about having our daughter and taking care of her when she was first born. That's when he suggested that I should do what Kylie Jenner did. Kylie Jenner supposedly had her baby and directly after she got her stuff done. I laughed off the idea and he said, "I'm serious." You see, I thought he was joking. I asked him why he wanted me to get that done. He confessed he was afraid that my body was going to look completely different than when we first met. I was shocked because, you're in love with me, not with my body. After I had the baby, he made an appointment with me at a plastic surgeon. Part 2 is up. Now telling me my husband made an appointment at a plastic surgeon for me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I had told him so many times that I did not want work done on me. I told him I wouldn't go to the appointment. Then he told me that he wanted me to look like the girls on Instagram and that he needed my body to look like it did before the baby. I was shocked. My husband had never been like this before, but his addiction to Instagram was getting that bad. He pulled out his phone and started showing me pictures of girls on Instagram. I told him those were highly edited pictures and he said I don't care. He told me that he probably wouldn't be attracted to me anymore and that's why I needed to get all the work done on my body. I told him that I would never ask him to do anything surgical to his body for my benefit. And he told me that if I had asked him, he would do it in a heartbeat. Then he actually started showing me pictures of Kylie Jenner and Kim Kardashian. He told me that he knew who their doctor was and that I could go to that same doctor. I was more than shocked. I felt sick to my stomach. For those of you who may be wondering, my husband and his family own a very big company. He was born into money. For him, you can buy anything in the world. As the weeks passed by, he kept getting more irritated that I wouldn't say yes. One day he showed me a picture of me that he edited of me to look like Kim Kardashian. Part 3's up. My husband insisted that I look like Kim Kardashian. I actually even went ahead and edited a picture of me in the shape of Kim Kardashian. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I started to cry instantly and I told him I did not want to get any surgery. He backed off because he knew he hurt my feelings, but just the following day, he asked me again. At this point, I didn't know how else to say no. A few days later, we were having a peaceful lunch and suddenly out of nowhere, he asked me what I would do if he found someone that did look like Kim Kardashian. I told him that I would straight up divorce him and that he would never see our daughter again. That's when he got up from the table and left. He basically gave me the silent treatment for 2 days. Finally, I told him that I would not get surgery, but that he could get me a personal trainer to work out. He said that that wasn't enough. Once again, he asked for me to consider it. 2 days ago when I got home, he ordered me a bunch of clothes from Skims. He asked me to try it on, and when I did, he said that I didn't look that bad, but that he still thought I should get some work done. He also told me I should get a tan. At this point, I just don't know what to do. I started a new diet in efforts to lose weight, and I'm working out my butt like crazy. I will never look like Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner though. Should I just cave in and get the work done? Or should I just tell my husband no and suffer the consequences? I feel absolutely hopeless.
My friend's parents are horrible with technology, and she was helping them with their iPhones at one point, and she set up Find My Friends and shared their location with her so she can track them at all times, but now vice versa, and they don't know that this is happening to them. So she keeps tabs on her parents, and on her wedding day, they were late to the rehearsal dinner, and she was really upset because when she checked their location, they were still at the hotel. And so she called her mom, and she said, "Why are you late? This is really important to me. I'm really upset with you." And her mom said, "Honey, I don't know why you're so mad. We left the hotel a long time ago. We're only 5 minutes away." And my friend was so frustrated because she knew she was being lied to, but there was no way for her to tell her mother that she knew that she was lying without telling her mother that her iPhone had been compromised. My little sister called me while I was driving, so at the end of the conversation, she said, "Drive safe, don't die." And for some reason, I was like, "What if I did?" And she said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "What if this was the last time you ever got to talk to me, and then there was a tragic accident, and that was it? What would you do?" And I was fishing for some last words of some kind from her, but instead, she immediately said, "Oh, I would dye my hair blonde and then go on American Idol as you. I'd assume your identity, and that way I could have a music career as you, but then I could be myself when I wanted a private life. I could be like Hannah Montana, and then when I wanted to retire, I would just go back to being me all the time." And my problem with her answer was that it was so fast. She didn't take time. She wasn't like, "Ooh, let me think about that and then come up with it." This was a premeditated plan. I said, "What would happen if I died today?" And she said, "Don't worry. I've already thought about how I could profit off of your potential death." And now I just I don't want to have sleepovers with her anymore.
Story time about how I accidentally waterboarded myself at the gym. I was feeling dizzy before a workout as I was a bit dehydrated. Usually I go to McDonald's and grab a large unsweet iced tea for the gym. It's better than coffee, it wakes me up for the workout, and it's only $1, but I hadn't done that on this day. That was my first screw up. In my slight lightheadedness, I decided to get some water from the fountain in the middle of the workout. Screw up number 2. After an hour on the treadmill, my throat starts to stick a little. I had my mask on and was doing a slow jog about 7 miles per hour, just enough for me to breathe through the mask and didn't have to remove it once during the hour spent on the machine. I hop off the treadmill and the first feeling I get is a rush of blood running away from my brain. It only lasted a second, but anyone getting up too fast from sitting or squatting a long time will know the feeling. It's similar to the dizzy feeling when being drunk. This was a good time for that drink, but because of COVID, the fountains were turned off and you're supposed to bring your own water. Oops. Okay, whatever, I'll power through this. I was doing lightweights that day anyway. It'll be fine. Screw up number 3. At the end, my shirt was very sweaty and I'm feeling very dizzy and lightheaded, but it passes. Anyone who's had that feeling would know it's actually a little euphoric, and a great end is a shower. This is also where I should point out that I'm in terrible COVID condition. My belly is huge. My mother pointed out that I looked pregnant when I went to open the fridge door without my shirt on. In my dehydration, I'm not drunk dizzy, but impaired enough to forget to take off my shirt and mask as I take my towel with me to the shower. There's no one else taking a shower as it was a pretty early workout, so I head to my usual stall by habit, which is close to the entrance. I turn on the shower and let the water hit my chest. The feeling is amazing. I'm still in my sweaty shirt and decide to take it off, with my mask still on. The shirt sticks to my skin and rotund belly, making it very hard to remove. Now both my arms are up and the shirt is stuck to my face with the mask, and the water is now filtering through the shirt and mask, blocking my nostrils. This is where I find out how horrible waterboarding is. However, that's not even the worst part. The wet mask and shirt make it instantly extremely hard to breathe as the nostrils are blocked. Instinct says to use my mouth, which is also blocked, and I start to hyperventilate, which sends water into the lungs and causes me to cough and panic. I take a few steps back with my arms still up and spin around to get away from the water. 2 very strong arms lift up my shirt and my mask with it, whereupon I'm confronted with 2 ebony pecs even the Rock would be envious of. Just below these godly pecs are abs of Hercules that puts my pear-shaped physique to shame. That's when the water decides to leave my lungs and I start hacking. Connected to this torso of discipline and genes of envy, I'm hacking spit onto the biggest weeby I've ever seen on this side of corn. The glorious footlong is inches from my face where previously only a Subway sandwich had been. The manliest of hands pat my back like a baby being burped. Through tears and embarrassment, we both realize there's a third person that just walked in. Me bent over coughing in the heat from this giant schlong caressing my face. Said person turns on his heels and nopes out. I utter some thanks to my savior and we both decide it's best not to talk about it and finish our showers. Mine was the shortest shower I'd ever had. I rushed to dress and possibly find the third person to hopefully explain, but he was gone by then. On my way out, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose Johnson was inches away from my face, was done with his shower. He has a look of don't say anything, but I spend a few minutes with him thanking him as he's getting dried and dressed. He seems cool with it, I think, but I haven't been back in weeks. I adopted my dog Tank when I was 20. He had minor issues like leash walking and prey drive. Issues that I fixed. This dog is a saint, never bit anyone or shown any aggression. He's very well trained and now he's 5 years old and 60 pounds. My boyfriend and I live in an apartment with my dog. We moved in together last year, but we've been dating for 4 years. In December, my boyfriend's mom invited herself to come visit us in the summer. Now when she decided this, we were under the impression that she would stay at a hotel or something. We live in a small, really small 2-bedroom apartment, but we use the second room as a shared office space. But whatever, we'll deal. We can throw in a bed and move the room around. However, 3 weeks ago, she was talking to my boyfriend saying she would be staying for 2 weeks because she wanted to sightsee and because she really wanted to be with us. I could tell he was happy about this because he misses her and doesn't get to see her a lot because we live so far away from her. I wasn't going to argue with it because I know it makes him happy. However, then she called again last week. She told my boyfriend that she wouldn't feel comfortable if Tank was in the apartment with her because he's big and you can't trust dogs like that. She said she didn't feel comfortable with his size or breed. Also that he could be unpredictable because I got him a yearish old and don't know about his past. She asked my boyfriend if he would have my dog boarded the whole time while she was there. He brought it up 3 days ago and I immediately said no. He asked me if I would think about it and I said no again. Now he's angry with me. I'm fine with everything else, but I draw the line at leaving Tank in a boarding facility for 2 weeks straight. I've never done something like that with him. I don't want to risk anything. I even looked into it just at the pricing and it's too expensive. This is his home and he deserves to stay here. I've never had a problem with her before, but this is ridiculous. She's never met Tank in person before and she gets a lot of pictures and videos of him. When we video chat her, sometimes he joins in. She's never said anything about her concerns before. He isn't a bad dog, but she doesn't want him at the apartment at all while she's there. Am I the asshole because I won't board Tank while she visits? After about a week of silence, waiting for each other to bring this up, I bypassed my boyfriend and went to his mom. I reached out and talked about her feelings for Tank. It started out pleasant. Then I told her BF said that she wanted my dog boarded. I asked why she didn't feel comfortable with Tank. Her direct quote was, "You don't know what his past is. He's big and unpredictable and I don't want to be staying with that. It would be different if you knew, but you don't. I just don't feel comfortable sharing a space with a dog that may attack me for going to pee in the middle of the night or grabbing a cup of water." I was angry and didn't want to scream to make her upset, so I said very politely, "If you don't feel comfortable living with Tank for 2 weeks, even though your own son has been since August, you can stay in a hotel while you visit." And I hung up on her. My boyfriend got home a few hours later and was angry because I talked to her, made her upset, and then hung up on her. Now she thinks I hate her. He said I wasn't being fair to her. I asked why he wanted me to board Tank so badly. He knows he wouldn't attack her or do anything aggressive towards her. All he had to say was boil down to, "Can't you just do it to make this whole thing easier? He's a dog." We argued at some point in circles. How Tank is a dog, he doesn't get rights in the apartment, and things got worse when I asked what would happen in the future if we were still together and she decided to visit when we were living in a house. He said that it would be different because we could put him in a room or something. So my dog has to be penalized for living in our home with us when your mom visits? When I adopted Tank, I took responsibility of taking care of him, making him my first priority, and treating him with respect as he is a living creature. I see him as I would a child. I do the same things for him as someone does for a child. He is family, 4 paws or not. I made a clear choice that night. While his mother may still be visiting whenever it is safe to do so, it won't be in this apartment. We came to a truth. This and other things we talked about are big and can't be ignored. We realized we don't want the same things, and it's not something you can compromise on. So, this all started with what I thought would eventually be my future mother-in-law wanting me to board my dog, and ended up with me and my boyfriend mutually breaking up after 4 years of dating.
Am I the asshole for snapping at my husband after finding him asleep when he was supposed to watch our son? I'm a new mom and I have a 6-month-old son. I have extended maternity leave, but my husband convinced me to go back to work earlier than I was supposed to. The first week went well, but then this came out. Yesterday I came home from work and found my husband sleeping on the couch. Not flat, but he was sitting up and his head was leaning to the side with our son sleeping in his lap. He was even snoring, if I recall correctly. I was dumbfounded. I loudly called his name, telling him to wake up. He then asked why I came home early, but I asked how long he'd been sleeping like that. He said he didn't know exactly, but after our son fell asleep. It was at this point that I went off on him. Am I the asshole for snapping at my husband after finding him sleeping when he was supposed to watch our son? At this point, I went off on him and said he shouldn't have let our son out of his sight, but he did that when he closed his eyes. He said he was just napping and our son was with him, not in the other room. I stated he should never be sleeping while alone with our son and that there's no one else in the apartment because anything could happen. Again, he said he was just napping and that since he's naturally a light sleeper, then nothing will happen that he wouldn't know about. He said this is just my paranoia since I'm having issues staying away from our son. Our son woke up from the noise we made while arguing and I took him and entered the room. Later, my husband said I overreacted and treated him like a babysitter because instead of seeing him as an equal parent, I scolded him. Am I the asshole for choosing to work at home when my Zoom meetings annoy my husband? My employer has given the employees the choice of working at home or going into the office. With what's going on, I feel safer to stay at home. The problem is that I often have 2 or 3 one-hour Zoom meetings a day. I use headphones, but I do talk during part of them. I close the door, but the noise bothers my husband, who is in the other room. He's home all day because he's unemployed. He says I'm selfish to stay at home and bother him when I could choose to go to work in the office, and weighs my health concerns as paranoid. I do feel guilty because he gets really upset by the noise and says it's hard for him to focus on stuff he's reading when he's hearing me talk. Am I in the wrong? Should I go into the office a few days a week?
I was trying to put my friends' kids to bed and they were not having it. They were running around like, ah! And I was like, come on guys, let's go to bed. And they were just ignoring me. And so I remember this trick my mom used to do when I was little where she would say, okay, I'm closing my eyes and I'm counting down from 5. And when I open my eyes, everybody better be in bed. And so I tried it. I told them that's what I was going to do. And I said, when I open my eyes, everybody better be in bed or else. So I counted down. I opened my eyes. I could hear their feet the whole time just going like, boom, boom, boom towards their rooms. And I was so relieved when I opened my eyes and they were in bed because that was my last move. I don't have any other parenting moves. I don't know how to parent. I don't know what or else meant. I don't know what they thought I was going to do. Like, if I had opened my eyes and they were still standing in front of me, I would have just been like, damn it. Not even that, because I can't curse in front of children, or I try not to. I also try not to say any curse-adjacent words, because you can get in trouble for those too. One time I was with a different friend's kids, and I said freaking in front of them, and the son looked up at me and he said, that's a bad word, and you're not allowed to say it in front of us ever again. And initially, I wanted to defend myself and be like, freaking's not a bad word. But instead, I figured that maybe their parents had taught them it was a bad word, which they had. And so I got really apologetic, and I was like, I am really, really sorry. That was a bad word, and I will never say it in front of you again. So don't think even close to that. If I had opened my eyes and they were still in front of me, I would have been like, that was it. That was my last move. The revolution has been successful. You may stay up till midnight and brush your teeth with sugar.
Story time. My best friend slept with my boyfriend on my birthday. So a little background information. I was 16 and a sophomore in high school. Well, I have this best friend who we are going to call Sarah. Her and I became super close over the summertime, but she was like on and off best friends with this other girl who we're gonna call Mackenzie. But I had this boyfriend who I was also really on and off with. And Sarah knew about all the problems within our relationship. Well, I guess I underestimated how close Sarah and Mackenzie were, because everything that I told Sarah, she went back and she told Mackenzie. And not to mention, Mackenzie was really close with my boyfriend. So of course, she told my boyfriend everything that I was saying. This ended up causing a huge fight between my boyfriend and I. Well, the night before my birthday, my boyfriend and I were going back and forth arguing, and around 12 a.m., on my birthday, I forced myself to fall asleep, and at around 1 a.m., I woke up to 20 Snapchat notifications, all from my boyfriend. And when I opened them, I saw the worst thing ever. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend slept with my boyfriend on my birthday. So like I said, I woke up at around 1 a.m. to 20 Snapchat notifications from my boyfriend, and I saw the absolute worst thing ever. The first 5 notifications were just him calling me names, and then all the other ones were just him doing stuff with my best friend. And you guys can already guess what I mean by doing stuff. So at this point, I was heartbroken, I was pissed off, but of course, because I gotta have the receipts, I went and took a video off my sister's phone of everything that he sent me. In the morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number, and it turned out to be my boyfriend's best friend saying that him and Sarah were now together. So my boyfriend asked me to meet up and apologize. So I met him at this park, and he apologized to me, telling me that he wanted to get back together with me. But I told him to KMA, and I left. Then Sarah came to my house and keyed my car, and then we fought on my front lawn. And then after that, she was texting me about how she was coming back to my house. Like for part 3. Part 3 about how my best friend slept with my boyfriend. So like I said, she came to my house and she keyed my car. And I caught her, so I went outside. We fought on my front lawn. After she left, she kept sending me messages saying that she was coming back to my house so we could fight again. But she was blocked, so I didn't get any of the messages. And then my ex came to my house and brought me flowers. And this was all in a span of 1 day. So because it was my birthday party, my cousins were at my house, and I already told them everything that happened. So they went outside and they fought him. Well, then I ended up sending all the videos to his parents, her parents, his siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins who loved me. Then I also decided to take legal action, and I sent the cops all of the screenshots of Sarah harassing me. And my sister got a video of us fighting, so I sent that to them too. Well, since she was 18 and I literally just turned 16, she got 3 months in county jail for minor harassment and minor physical altercations. So in the end, I think I won.
I'm 22 and my sister Anna, 21, is special needs. She has severe autism, and while she is verbal, most of her communication is physical, like sign language, due to her social discomfort. She does speak around family though, and has pretty bad cognitive skills. She can't comprehend boundaries and lives with our parents so they can best watch her. I'm getting married in 3 months. We planned a simple wedding and reception at my fiance Michael's parents' barn and farm. Since it's all going to be DIY and we aren't planning on anything too expensive, we can do things pretty quickly since flowers, food, and decor will be provided by his family. I sent out invites last week and I asked Anna not to come. I told my parents I understood that would mean they might not show up, but it was just a heads up. Why no, Anna? Because she has an issue touching Michael and trying to kiss him. At times when we were at my parents' house, Anna would try to grab Michael's hands, try to lean in to kiss him, or would have really bad shutdowns if she wasn't allowed to be directly next to him. We've tried speaking to her, but there's only so much we can do when she really doesn't understand. I told my parents I just want one day for Michael to be my partner and not Anna's comfort person. They called me selfish and asked how I expected them to agree to something like this. They told me Anna is disabled and may never experience a wedding of her own while I have Michael for probably the rest of our lives. She'll have no one, and that Michael and I can be a little bit more understanding to the reality of her life. Later on, my parents called me letting me know that they won't be coming and it's best that I don't bring Michael around anymore since I've chosen some man over my sister. They told me that Anna wanting to kiss Michael and hug him is normal for a woman her age and she doesn't understand what her feelings mean. I suggested they try to redirect her during the wedding, but they said that Michael is going to be family to her and he needs to get over it. I suggested they watch the wedding via web and they said that it's not fair and they deserve to see things in person. I asked if I could pay for someone with proper credentials to watch her that day while they attend, and they asked me what I would do when they died and if I'd pawn her off every time. I dropped the unfortunate truth bomb that I don't want to put any more of my life aside for Anna. I did it up until I turned 18 and Anna is not my life's responsibility and I won't be her keeper. I assured them that I pay for her care, but if she's okay doing this to Michael, then I worry if I ever choose to have children and what she'd do to them. They said I was sick for suggesting she'd do anything to my future children and hung up on me. They sent me a lengthy text telling me not to contact them until I could do the right thing. Am I the asshole for not wanting my disabled sister at my wedding? I have a severe dog allergy. I can have varying disease of severity when it comes to my reactions when I'm exposed to dogs. In short, being in a closed environment with a dog is out of the question. Earlier today, I was boarding my flight with some friends as we're all going on vacation together. As I'm boarding, I find that one of the passengers is boarding with a golden retriever with a guide dog vest on it. I want to make it clear that I'm not questioning whether this was a guide dog or not. This was also a fairly small plane since the flight would only take around an hour. As mentioned, I cannot be in a confined space with the dog. I told one of the flight attendants my concerns since I could have potentially ended up in the hospital if I had to fly with this dog. The flight attendant informed the woman with the dog, who goes into hysterics saying that she's visiting a sick family member and can't afford to miss her flight. I'm not sure how sick the family member in question was or is. The flight attendant asked if I'd be willing to miss the flight and catch the next one and would be leaving around 2 hours. I was offered a seat in first class if I was willing to do this. I said that unfortunately I wouldn't be able to do this since I'd paid for my vacation. Due to the size of the plane, the dog would not be able to go in the hold. The woman started insulting my character, saying that I was heartless for putting my vacation over her sick family member. I got on the plane and sat with my friends. As I did this, a woman in a nearby seat told me that she wanted to inform me that I am the biggest bitch she's ever met. I didn't respond since I didn't want to cause a confrontation. My friends haven't said that I'm in the wrong, but have kept making sarcastic jokes about this situation. Am I the asshole for refusing to give up my seat on the flight? I drove 2 hours to surprise my boyfriend and found out that he left for the week. It's me and my boyfriend's first year away at school. We're both from the same town but went to different schools and they're 2 hours apart, so we've both made the drive many times and it's worked out great. My class was canceled tomorrow, so I decided it would be fun to go to Victoria's Secret, get some candles, massage lotion, and then go surprise him tonight. I got to his dorm and saw that his car was still in the parking lot, so I figured I had some time to get it cleared with his roommate and surprise my boyfriend. I texted his roommate and asked if I could let myself in and he said of course, but my boyfriend had gone out of town for the rest of the week. I was confused. His parents have a house in Imperial Beach, but he always wants me to go with him. I called him and he said that yes, he was going, but he was still in town getting some stuff together. I asked him if I could come with him and he said no, it was just a boys trip. I told him that I was actually in his dorm parking lot and wanted to surprise him. He gave me this very condescending, "Oh, that's nice." I asked if he could at least please come by and see me or we could meet up since I went through a lot of work to put this together. He just dismissively said, "No, I can't. We're already on our way." He then said that maybe he could come next weekend to see me, but I should just drive back, and then basically hung up. I looked at Find My Friends and it turns out he was literally passing by his dorm as we were talking on the phone. He could have easily stopped by and said hello, and this really hurt. Maybe it was stupid, but I called his friends and they all said the same thing. The thing that's so sus is that none of them are going and it's some random friend he's going with that none of them have ever met, but I shouldn't be suspicious. It's like all of them were coached into saying the right thing in short notice because they all said the same thing. I mean, I guess I could look at it like they all said the same thing because it's the truth, right? However, every one of my alarm bells is going off. This is so unlike him. Even if he were going there, he would have told me first. This is the first time he's ever gone without telling me or without inviting me. Maybe I'm a young, dumb, paranoid girlfriend, but my instincts are telling me something is up. What should I do here? I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She's amazing and we're super compatible in a lot of ways. She's an outspoken vegan and she made it very clear from the start of our relationship that it was important to her any potential partner had the same cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. Then there's my cat Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while, we sort of made an agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in the conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff. My girlfriend and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic and started talking about moving our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of our relationship, she didn't see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed that owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens, and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying the reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along the same lines. My girlfriend got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. Then I went home and snuggled with Mittens. Although the mood soured a bit when my GF sent me a link to the Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. It pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ended because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in the vegan circles and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time. But I have Mittens now and she deserves to eat. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends and they all think that my girlfriend has lost her mind. Some have suggested it's not about Mittens and my girlfriend just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. Where do I even go from here? I had a table today with a couple, and the husband was introducing his baby mama to his family. He was military, and I guess he's been busy on his time away. The couple also had a brand new baby that they were showing off. Nice folks. They were with the dude's mom, sister, and aunt. They ordered a baked chicken nacho to start, which I promptly put in. Mind you, I was captain on a party of 25 and finishing them up, and the host told them they might have a few minute wait at the table. They were cool at first. Once the food came out, the complaints started. I checked on them multiple times in passing and nobody asked for anything. They, of freaking course, asked for waters for the table and also each had a beer or mocktail. Nobody asked for refills or to order another. They didn't have a single auto refill drink, but okay, maybe I wasn't being super attentive. Anyway, the mom goes to the front and has a hissy fit and my manager deals with her, but she pulls me aside to say that she was watching me and that she knows I did my best. Even if the food was kind of late behind our party of 25 regulars. She's gonna comp the cheesecake slices and I shouldn't worry about them. I go and drop the discounted check and I hear the Beyonce say, I'm gonna order cheesecake for all of us and get the whole bill taken care of. The sister and mom both cringe visibly and make eye contact with me. I drop the free $50 of cheesecake and bring the fussy toddler a free milk just to show that I care. The aunt stares at the check and then violently snatches it. I watch the new baby mama die internally. I can only imagine she's been dealing with this effing witch for hours or days and is rapidly approaching her limit. She's dressed like a crunchy hippie mom and is super sweet whenever I come back to the table. She isn't a problem and I imagine she's served before. You'll see why. Not 5 minutes after the $40 check is dropped, my manager finds me and we go to a posy to look at the ring times and such. She wants to make sure I did my best before she sticks up for me. Everything checks out and she decides it isn't worth the trouble and comps the entire bill. They seem satisfied and leave. Finally. On the way out, they called me slow and shiftless and say I should work somewhere else. I laughed in response because F them and I wished them a lovely evening. I knew I wasn't going to get tipped and just start to bust the table once they were out of view. I found a 20 by where the sister was sitting and a crisp 50 in the middle of the table. I'm betting the dude left that. As I finish up, I see the baby mama speaking to the manager who gestures toward me and I walk over. She smashes a crumbled 100 into my hand and whispers, I'm so sorry, I know you did your best with them. Not gonna lie y'all, I almost cried. I simply nodded and said thanks so much and that I hope to see her and her baby again. She thanked me again and walked off. I imagine the aunt thinks that she did something by scoring free food for everyone, but all she did was alienate her nephew and her sister further. Me and 4 other girls have been best friends since middle school and we're all 17. When we were freshmen, we got matching necklaces that say besties for the resties on them. One of us will say besties and the others will respond for the resties. One of my best friends is named Alexa. She was one of the 4 and she did everything with us. A few weeks ago, out of the blue, she decided she wants to be called Alex and to be a guy now. And also to use he, him pronouns. They're basically a totally different person now. I feel like my best friend has died. None of us even recognize this new person and all of us are kind of in mourning. We've stopped hanging out with them pretty much. It's not the same now. It's really depressing. Today, they tried to get the other 4 of us to do the same. They kept saying besties over and over, trying to get us to do the response, but no one was doing it and it was just a tense, depressing silence. Then they started crying and it made me want to cry. I feel like my best friend is dead and I know the others are very upset too. We won't ever get our friend back. Alexa is dead. We can't go shopping together, can't watch the same movies now, can't have sleepovers, can't get our nails done, can't do each other's hair, can't bake cupcakes now. There's literally nothing left to do together that wouldn't be incredibly uncomfortable. Am I the asshole for being unable to complete the phrase?
Am I the asshole for getting a teacher fired when she wouldn't let my daughter eat in class? My 47 female, daughter 13 female, is type 1 diabetic and sometimes hypoglycemic. Due to this, we set up a 504 that says she can eat a snack in class whenever needed along with other accommodations. At one point, one of her new teachers denies her a snack while hypoglycemic. She nearly passes out, but in the next class she's in, the teacher has enough common sense to let her eat a snack before passing out at school. When she told me, I immediately called the teacher. When she called back, I lectured her and told her that she needed to let my daughter eat a snack when needed. She says it's not allowed, but I tell her that due to my daughter's 504, she's legally required to give my daughter an exception. Am I the asshole for getting a teacher fired when she wouldn't let my daughter eat in class? I said due to my daughter's 504, she's legally required to give my daughter an exception to that rule. Before hanging up, I tell her that if she does this again, I'll contact the principal and let him know. Keep in mind, I also recorded this call on my husband's phone, by the way. A month goes by and the same thing happens again, and I request a meeting with the principal and my husband plays back the call between me and the teacher. I tell him she's done this twice and needs to have a talk with her. Turns out, he actually fired her for ADA violations. I know this because I ran into her at Publix. She told me I got her fired over some stupid snacks and I need to stop raising an entitled brat. I walked away. Am I the asshole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law had their twins last year. They didn't want to put them in daycare and asked me if I could watch them. I've been doing childcare my whole adult life as a nanny, and at the time I had a well-paying nanny job. My son and daughter-in-law couldn't pay me as much, but I didn't mind as they are my grandchildren and I love them. I would do it for free, but I do have bills. I clarified multiple times that this was going to be permanent and I was quitting a good job for this and I didn't want to have to scramble last minute. They swore it would be until they were 3. I had so much fun watching them and they're now 18 months old. I started teaching them colors and ABCs and we also go to playgroups. My son and daughter-in-law told me last week they feel more comfortable with daycare.
I the asshole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law sat me down last week saying they'd be more comfortable with daycare. After doing research, they feel it would be the best now. In fact, they already found one and gave me 2 weeks notice. I was upset. They promised me 3 years of work and now I have to scramble to find a new job that'll pay as well as my last one. I said all of this and they said it wasn't fair for me to expect them to keep to that. I pointed out what this would do financially to me and they said they had to think of themselves. They're paying the daycare more, but it's worth it. I said I don't know how I'll pay my bills, including my son's student loans that I pay. I left and my son said his wife cried and said I shouldn't have guilted them. He said bringing up the money was manipulative.
Am I the asshole for putting my wife on a budget? We got married this past March. I'm 25 and she's 23, and for her, it's been a spending spree ever since. Hundreds at a time on clothes, accessories, makeup, trinkets, interior design, just spending all the time. I make an okay living, and the only reason we aren't underwater is because I don't buy anything. After running up $550 on a coat, I finally decided enough was enough. I made a spreadsheet, explained it to her, and wanted to handle things like adults. She actually acted like she was dozing off. I thought this was fair. She doesn't think the budget benefits us both, and she thinks I'm dominating and constricting her.
A few years ago, I was invited by a group of people that I kind of sort of knew to go see one of my favorite bands play at a club. And I was like, oh, thank you guys, that is so nice. And we drove an hour to get to this club. Once we got there, we realized that like half of our group didn't bring IDs with them, so they couldn't get into the club. And on the outside, I was like, oh no. And on the inside, I was hardcore judging them for being adult people who don't carry IDs with them. And the girls who didn't bring their IDs said, what should we do now? Should we all just go home? And I didn't want to go home after driving that long. And I said, well, we kind of wanted to see the band. Would you guys be cool with maybe like going to see a movie or going to get dinner? And that way we could at least see part of their set and then we could leave early with you guys. And the one Gryffindor in the group interrupted me and she said, no. If they don't get to see the band, then none of us get to see the band. And I was like, this is not the last 20 minutes of a Disney movie. We don't all have to miss the band together. But Gryffindor really stuck to it. She handed the girls the keys and she was like, you guys run home, get your IDs, come back here. I've been sitting crisscross applesauce for a long time and my feet hurt. Okay. So the girls run home to grab their IDs. We had to wait in line at the club for a really long time. We finally get to the front and our friends aren't back yet. And I was like, that's fine. Like, I didn't even think that was going to be a problem. But Gryffindor said to the bouncer, we can't go in yet. We're waiting for our friends. And so the bouncer just had us stand off to the side in the cold. And we just stood outside the venue listening to the band play from the outside. And all I could think was, we have cell phones. This is what cell phones are for, situations like these. And I just like... having friends is too hard. I think I'm too selfish for it.